Hey, what's up, YouTube? Nothing much going on in the news again. The only thing that was really big was, you know, they had that inquisition for the Attorney General, William Barr or whatever his name is. But they literally, the Democrats can't give up on trying to impeach Trump. They're so angry that the Mueller report that's literally been shown to the public does not, condemn the president. In fact, it exonerates him. And they're so livid over it. They can't stand it because he's not a puppet, a Democratic puppet, and they can't control him. They don't like it. So they want to try everything they can to try and impeach him, which isn't going to happen, obviously. But they're so angry now they're going after Barr, the Attorney General, who put out the Mueller report and said, the president didn't do anything wrong. Now we're going to go after the Democratic Party for spying on the president and such. Well, that made the Democrats angry. They're livid over that too. So all they could do is, claim that Barr is lying, even though the report is out in the public. It literally tells everything. They don't want to be investigated for spying on Trump. So all they can do is claim that Barr's a liar when all the facts suggest otherwise. So that's the big thing that's going on. It's literally ridiculous, and it's a big mess. I did go see Avengers Endgame this past week. So spoiler alert, if you're watching this, you might not want to watch this next section. The movie was good. It was really good. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, explain everything, but I don't know. Thank God they only had like a minute or two of Brie Larson in there and her playing Captain Marvel, because it would have really sucked if they really had very much to do with her at all, because she's a terrible actress. She's just stone-faced all the time. She can't act worth a crap. I didn't have a lot of complaints about it. It was actually really good. I think there was only a couple things I didn't care for. Number one was the whole, they had, during the fighting towards the end, they had this whole little powwow moment for the feminists, where they had all the female superheroes stand up and say, "Oh, I'm going to protect Captain Marvel, Brie Larson's character, as she's carrying the gauntlet or whatever." It was a dumb moment, and it really irritated me, because like they had to show all like we have a bunch of superheroes and they're all female. Yeehaw, it was a dumb moment. They didn't need to do that. It was ridiculous. Any feminist crap you throw in a movie, I'm gonna stomp on because it's just dumb. But anyway, I didn't care for that. That was it because it was so dumb. Um, the other part I didn't like, not that I didn't like. I just I wish they would have done it. Uh, in the comics, when they mash Hulk, the intelligent Hulk, with the dumb Hulk or whatever, he's not still green. He's gray. He becomes the gray Hulk. So that kind of irritated me, that Captain Green when he was supposed to turn gray. But what irritated me even more was, I was really hoping, I was looking forward to the Hulk getting a second round with Thanos. Fighting him or whatever, because they made him look like a wuss in the first one. And I thought, man, it would be, I sure hope he gets a second round with him, kind of redeem himself. And they didn't do it, so that really irritated me. Because that was the whole reason I really wanted to see the movie, was to see Hulk whip his ass. But it didn't happen. And then a minor one was, they don't always, just almost every superhero movie, they do not go with any of the original stories from the comics. They literally change everything, which really irritates me. It's like destroying a piece of artwork. It's like, oh, well, we'll take the Mona Lisa and we'll paint a mustache. That's a better version of the Mona Lisa now, That's literally what they do with every superhero movie. And it really irritates me because they destroy the artwork that writers have written by rewriting the original story. But anyway, I wasn't surprised that, Bucky or the Winter Soldier didn't get the Captain America shield or whatever. Instead, he hands it over to Falcon. Now, Falcon does get it eventually, way later, but Bucky or Winter Soldier, he becomes Captain America first. So it kind of irritated me that they didn't do it that way, but whatever. Other than that, the movie was really good. I liked it. I definitely give it 2 thumbs up. Go see it if you haven't already. Okay, on to your B-movie reviews. Now, I'm trying to switch genres every time I do a video. I'm trying to, do something a little bit different. Last time was sci-fi, so this time I'm going to go with fantasy. So the 3 movies I've chosen, the first one, most have not, I just ran across it accidentally. I didn't know anything about it. I just saw something about it, and I was like, what is this? So I was clicking on checking it out. I decided to watch it just because it sounded interesting. This movie was actually supposed to be a TV pilot. It wasn't really a movie, but it became a TV movie, kind of. It was done in 1981. Like I said, it was supposed to be a pilot for a new series, but it never took off. They kind of just scrapped it and said, oh well, even though they left it with a huge cliffhanger. Now, after I watched the movie, I was like, man, I wish they would have done more with this, and they didn't do it. It was cheesy and campy. And the acting wasn't all that great. It was decent, but but still, it was fairly decent TV movie. I thought, man, they should have done more with this. It's called The Archer, Fugitive from the Empire, or in some places it's called The Archer and the Sorceress. Now, the special effects, as far as the makeup wise, the makeup was done really well. They have some a group of what's called the snake people or something. And the makeup for them is actually really done really well for what they had back then. But the rest of the stuff was kind of cheesy because they kept oversaturating the screen every once in a while with like these weird colors, like this weird green color. All this magic, the magic was done with these green and blue colors. They oversaturated things. It was kind of weird looking. And then they had this raven that would talk every now and then. It was supposed to be the sorcerer who would talk to this raven, Adam or whatever, and his friends. And they'd oversaturate the screen with red, and it was really weird. But anyways, they went a little bit crazy with the color scheme. But the story is what mattered. The story is basically, you know, I didn't recognize, before I get to the story, I didn't recognize any of the actors. They were all pretty much nobodies back then, you know, like they weren't really well known. Except for one. I recognized George Kennedy. He's fairly well known back then. He plays that King Barbarossa or whatever his name is. The main king, anyway. There was one other actor I recognized, and the only reason why I recognize him anymore, and you know, I never even knew he had bit parts in several movies, but he does. He's in several movies. The only reason I recognize him anyway is just because he plays on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He plays Dukat. He's a Cardassian, and he's the main antagonist or enemy. And he does such a good job at it. Phenomenal. He's excellent for that role. But I recognize him now. Every time I see a movie or something, that's him, you know. You just, you know your actors, favorite actors and stuff. But anyways, he's in this as a bad guy. He's kind of like a mole or spy for the bad guys. And he tries to set up the king's son by killing the king. And then he tries to set him up like to take the fall, the son to take the fall, like he killed his own father. But that's not what happened. The bad guy, he's human, but he controls the snake people. And they've been at war for years. Anyway, he's trying to get rid of them so he could take over their lands. And the king, you know, at the beginning of the movie, he tries to get all the clans together and tries to formulate a plan to stop the bad guy. But it doesn't turn out that well. Like I said, he gets set up and killed. And then they try to blame the son. The son takes off. He runs into this one place where, I don't know, there's some rumor, some sorcerer, like his grandfather killed some sorcerer or something. Sorceress or whatever. From way back when. Well, he meets this, the daughter of this sorceress or whatever that's supposedly dead, but still talks to her. Anyway, she wants to kill him for her grandmother, but then at the same time she doesn't do it because she likes him. She lets him live, and she threatens to kill him. Anyways, he takes off, and he's trying to stay away from getting captured. His father told him to go find some great ancient wizard named Lazarus or something like that. He tries to go and find him, and he gets him mixed. He runs into snake people several times, led by the bad guy or whatever. He runs across, at one point in time, he runs across kind of a rogue guy, another guy. He's like a thief or a rogue and a merchant, all in one. He becomes his friend. They run across this one particular village that claim that Lazarus is trying to the ancient wizard Lazarus there, and he's trying to destroy him, and he's going around, he's throwing these magic spears or whatever, and he's wearing this big suit of black armor. So they go after him. Come to find out, it's not really him. It's some dude that creates some type of magical armor or some crap, and and then he took his name and used it. Well, this raven comes by and tells him that he's actually Lazarus and he's been in prison and he's got to go find him and break him loose or whatever, or free or whatever. But anyway, it kind of ends the movie, or the movie ends in that way, where they all kind of split and go their separate ways. Him and the sorceress, they kind of split and go this separate ways because she's after Lazarus too, but she wants to kill him for whatever reason. And his buddy decides to join him and go with him to another place. And that's literally how they end the movie, is that they're all going after Lazarus, just their separate ways. So, I mean, it was good for what it was, you know. It was fairly decent. I liked it, even though it was cheesy and campy and magic was all cheesy, but saturated colors. But otherwise, it was a good movie. If you're looking for something like that, you know, fantasy movies from back in the day, I say check it out. It was really decent, story-wise. The next one I want to talk about was done in 1982. It's a Roger Corman movie, and yes, he's known for doing B-rated cheesy knockoffs, but he made money. He made money doing them because he did them pretty daggone well. It's called Sorceress. Literally, that's the name of the movie, Sorceress. But anyways, only had a budget about $500,000, but you know, overall it made about $4 million. So you know, it at least broke fairly well, even or whatever. You know, it didn't do great, but it didn't do bad either. It did all right. It stars this two women called the Harris sisters. They're twins. Again, this is another movie where they oversaturate a lot of the magic with these ridiculous colors. Most of the bad magic is all done this oversaturated green color, and then the good magic's all done this oversaturated blue color. But you know, this evil sorceress or whatever, or sorcerer, sorry, my bad. This evil sorcerer supposedly gets some princess pregnant. She has twin babies, and he goes to grab them because he wants one of them to be a sacrifice to this evil goddess or something, you know, that's going to take her body. He's going to kill the other twin because he only needs one. But that doesn't happen. Somehow he's killed, but he has more than one life, and he promises to come back years later. I don't know, he's a sage or something, this old guy. He's like a sage or something, like an old wizard or some crap. But he takes the two girls, and he takes them to someone he trusts and tells them to raise them as his own. But always make them look like boys, because the sorcerer's men will be hunting down girls instead of boys. So he tells them to make them look like boys. Supposedly he does that. As I was saying, supposedly he makes them look like boys, even though you could tell that they are not boys. You know, 20 some odd years go by or some crap like that, And this witch is she kind of controls the Sorcerer's army, and she helps bring him back. She's also got like this ape-looking thing. It's kind of like a sidekick. I'm not sure what it is. It's kind of like this half human, half ape, inbred-looking thing. Anyway, they eventually find. They call them the two who are one, and it's basically just twins, is what they're describing. But anyway, they just keep calling them the two who are one throughout the whole movie. They supposedly find them. This one group finds them, of the Sorcerer's men, and they end up killing the Guardians and their sister. There was another girl that was the Guardian's actual daughter. But they kill all of them, their whole family. It's some kind of Viking dude. He shows up. I don't know if he's supposed to be a dwarf. But he's also got this satire, or whatever they're called, I can't remember what they're called. But anyway, a goat man. This goat man, he don't talk. He just, does the thing, and his makeup's not all that great. You can tell it's a mask. But anyway, they show up after they kick the butt out of the Sorcerer's men. They run off, and they decide to join him, help him out. And then this sage, the old sage, just miraculously appears all of a sudden after all the commotion's done, and gives him his magic or whatever, and then he dies. He jumps in the fire and kills himself. I'm just like, it's so fucking retarded. But anyway, they all go looking for the Sorcerer to kill. They eventually meet up with a guy inside the city. They go to a city and they meet up with this guy in the city. He's supposed to be a barbarian, but he doesn't look anything like a barbarian. He's sworn not to fight, but then he ends up fighting anyway, so it's kind of ridiculous that he says that. They kind of drug him and the older sister, and they take her because they need her for the sacrifice, and they take him to try to convince her to sacrifice herself. So the Sorcerer, he tells him all this stuff, and he tells the witch to get them to comply. And the witch tells the barbarian, you kill the sister, I'll become yours, and we'll kill the Sorcerer together, kind of thing, whatever. But the barbarian likes the twin sisters. He makes love to one of the sisters because they don't know anything about boys and girls, and he definitely teaches her. Well, the other one is psychically linked. She supposedly could feel it, so she's having an orgasm at the same time, and just outside of the city. She's with the Viking dude and the goat guy when she does this. It's kind of comical, but anyways, the Viking dude and the other sister, they try to break in and break them free, the barbarian and the sister, and then they fall into some graveyard pit or whatever with the Walking Dead, and then they get out of there due to the ape-looking monster or whatever. He gets pissed at the Sorcerer because he was promised the other girl, and the Sorcerer tried to kill her off, so He didn't like that at all. Anyways, the evil goddess shows up to collect her. That they're going to sacrifice one of the twins, and the evil goddess. It's just a head, like over the stars. It's really weird looking. And then this thing out of nowhere, the old sages told the twins if they were ever in trouble to call out a particular name, some god's name or whatever, and they do. And this weird looking thing with wings and a goat, a ram's head, or with a monkey face. I don't know. It is weird. It shows up out of the blue, and it just stands there as they all start fighting. And the undead come out of the ground and cause chaos. And there's a big old fight scene. And eventually, the whatever it is, the goat-like creature, whatever in the sky, he shoots this green lightning at the evil goddess's head, and it blows up, and then it flies away. I don't know, it's weird. And that ends the fighting. The sorcerer tried to sacrifice the witch instead because he couldn't sacrifice the twin girl. Nothing worked out. Anyway, he eventually gets killed too, and they all live happily ever after. And right at the end, the Viking dude, he's looking at the barbarian guy, and he's got his arms around both the twins, and he says, one's not enough for you, and he says, these are the two who are one, you know, blah, 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 like, ha, ha, ha. Like I said, it was kind of cheesy. The acting wasn't really all that great, you know, it was okay, but it was fairly cheesy. It was a cheesy movie, but, you know, it was good fun, so, you know, I enjoyed it, even though it was kind of cheesy. But if you're okay with that kind of thing, then I suggest go ahead and check it out. It was a decent movie for what it was, being cheesy and campy. The last one I'm going to talk to you about is another movie done in 1982, and it was fairly well known back then. I never actually really watched it. I always heard about it, but I never really did check it out. It's called The Sword and the Sorcerer. Now this one actually had several, you know, famous actors you might know in it. It had Richard Lynch. He played the bad guy, the evil king, Cromwell. Richard Mole, the guy from Night Court, if you remember Night Court, he was in a lot of 80s B-rated movies. But Richard Mole, he was in it, and he played the evil sorcerer. I don't know who the lead actress was. Kathleen Beller. I'm not sure who that is. I didn't see any information on her. She was a stunner though. And then Simon McCorkindale. You know, he was a pretty decent actor for back then. He was known mainly for doing his Dynasty role, but he did a lot of other stuff too. And then Lee Horsley played the main guy, Talon. You know, he was kind of half-assed known back then too for doing a lot of movies, but he wasn't like super famous or anything like that. This movie actually did really damn good for back then. It grossed over 40 million at the box office, so it did pretty daggum well for back then. I mean, that was huge for back then. Uh, Basically, Cromwell's an evil king. He wants to conquer, the entire world, basically, or known civilized world. There's a king, Talon's king, or father. He's got the best kingdom in the land. Cromwell wants it, so he resurrects this sorcerer to help him destroy uh, the good kingdom. Well, he does this uh, when he's pretty much got it conquered. He turns on Richard Mole, which is a sorcerer, evil sorcerer, and tries to kill him off, but it doesn't work. For years, he conquers the good kingdom, and then the Talon, the good king's son, he takes off and disappears. Uh, anyways, Talon eventually goes through a lot of crap, a lot of fighting, even on the sea and stuff. He becomes really well known as this general of mercenaries who goes around, helps other kingdoms, helps them fight certain wars and stuff, and he always wins, helps them win. Anyways, there's a group of cousins they're like the only blood left from the old king, supposedly, that everyone knows. They don't know about Talon anymore. So a couple cousins, one's a guy and one's a woman. They're brother and sister, and they're planning on doing a revolution and taking out him becoming king, but it doesn't work that way. They both get captured. Talon and his group of mercenaries show back. They're coming through. He hasn't been home in forever, and he doesn't tell anybody who he is. They just know him as a mercenary, and he goes in there. He's hired by the sister to help free the brother, but the sister eventually gets caught too and captured and imprisoned. Cromwell wants to marry the sister. She don't want anything to do with him. He's trying to solidify all the other kings that surround him in their countries or areas or whatever, by becoming the main one grand king or whatever. But anyways, it doesn't work out that way. He tries to betray the other kings. He's going to kill them off and then take over all their lands too, but it doesn't happen. He captures Talon, breaking the brother out. He also eventually captures Talon's group of men, plus some other guys that joined him. And some women come in there and free them all, and they go attack the guys that are Cromwell's men, who are trying to kill the kings he invited to the wedding. He's trying to have this wedding. Anyways, they get in a big old fight. Eventually, the sorcerer shows up. He's been a spy this whole time. And it's really the scene where he transforms into the sorcerer from his human counterpart. It's really nasty looking. It's really cool, but it's really nasty looking too. But anyway, they get in a big fight. Talon has this three-pronged sword. It has like 3 blades, and he can shoot 2 of the blades off the main one at people like a gun. Anyway, he shoots it into the sorcerer. It supposedly kills him off, but not really. Then he gets in a fight with Cromwell. Eventually kills Cromwell, and then the sorcerer tries to come back alive, but he kills him too. He takes the girl. He wins the day, and then At the very end of the movie, he doesn't even stay to become king. He lets the other guy's cousin do it. He leaves the girl behind, and then he jumps on his horse, grabs his men, and they take off to, you know, some other guys join him, and they take off and to do their thing. Now, at the end of the movie, it says, watch for the upcoming adventures of Talon and the Ancient Empire, or some crap like that. There were a few movies in the 80s where they did this, and then they never did a sequel to them. You know, Conan the Destroyer was one of them. It ended that way. Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai ended that way, where they said they're going to come back and do another one. They never did. Now, I saw where supposedly Kevin Sorbo supposedly did a sequel to this movie and did Talon Adventures in an Ancient Empire like many years later, like in 2010 or something like that. I can't remember, but apparently he did a sequel to it. But I don't know, I haven't checked it out or anything like that. I don't know if I ever. This movie was really good. I'd check it out if I was you. It was cheesy, but it was good. If you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments below. I told you you'd be told the truth, and you've just been told.